So we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the panel discussion and Q&A session during Dextra's online collaboration fest. I'm Divyansh, founder and CEO of Dextra. Really happy to be bringing this to you. In case you're not already aware, Dextra is an online collaborative platform for the global creative community. It is essentially a mobile app on iOS and Android, and soon a web app on Dextra.com as well for filmmakers, writers, musicians, dancers, actors, models, photographers, artists, designers from around the world to collaborate with each other and work on creative projects. We've been organizing these online events for our global community to attend without having to travel. This very event is geared towards film and writing and the collaboration between these art forms. The topic of the discussion itself is Create Better Together, highlighting the need for collaboration in the creative industry and the best practices around it. We have some wonderful people here today to share their knowledge and experience. For the lack of a better word, all of them are influencers and are here to share how they've come to reach such a status in this extremely competitive world. I'll let the panelists introduce themselves. Vashmere, why don't we start with you? Vashmere, you're on mute. Turn yourself back on.
How's that? Is that better?
Yep. That
okay.
Works.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah.
Vashmere Valentine here, a professional film director and screenwriter. I'm currently in the not Los Angeles. I was in the Los Angeles area. I'm currently in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And I'm just pleased to not get attacked by everything in my house and be here with everyone today.
Great. I hope that wasn't staged, Vashmere, for the effect.
No, if it was, then I'm Harrison Ford, and this is bad Star Wars.
Great. Isaac and Caroline, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
How you guys doing? My name is Isaac Alvarez. I'm based in LA, photographer and director, and loving my job.
Mm-hmm. I'm Carla Pimentel. I actually am from Miami. I just moved to LA a few months ago and started doing some production, some directing, modeling, and acting as well.
Yeah.
So, hi, guys.
Great. Liene, hi, Liene.
Hi.
Glad to see you here. Hi. I hope your flight went well.
Oh, I'm so jet lagged. Wait a second. I will put my more light. Yeah.
Right. So, Liene, just to let you know, we're live. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, hi guys. So nice to meet you. I'm Liene. I just came back from New York to Moscow. I live here. I'm studying film directing third year already. So I'm a music producer, songwriter. I used to live in New York. I work with David Guetta and Big Management. So writing the songs for many cool artists, not only myself. So right now at the moment I direct my first movie. So right now it's, we'll go to festivals, and now I'm gonna do the second movie, which will be really interesting with 19th century. So it'll be really interesting. So doing many things, I'm a montage director myself, so like to do everything what is with the films and with the art. So it's kind of cool.
Great, thanks, Liene. Robert, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Robert Randall. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm a filmmaker. And worked in the movie business for about 15 years before I started working with kids, and through that started making movies with them, and that started to grow my YouTube channel. and now that's all I do. So that's my life now, making movies with young people.
Right. You want to throw some light on the Young Actors Project, Robert?
Okay, yeah. Well, the Young Actors Project, we do, we teach in schools, but we also just teach privately, and the YouTube channel has grown to like 1.3 million subscribers now and 300 million views. And on YouTube, it's you just look up Robert Randall or Young Actors Project, and you can see our movies there.
Great. Thanks, Robert. That's really impressive. Vlad, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vlad, and I'm a photographer and filmmaker. So basically, I live in LA for my last 4 years, and I started learning about like YouTube and videos. So everything I know, I learned basically from YouTube. And I love shooting videos, like travel videos and lifestyle videos, like smooth, slow motion cinematic videos. I just love doing it, love traveling. And that's what I do. I love it.
Thanks, Vlad. Luka, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luka. I'm based in Croatia, Zagreb. Probably the youngest one here, and that's very funny to me because everywhere I go, whether it be my college or a studio that I'm working for, or the company Monster Energy that I'm working for, I'm always the young gun, and it's sometimes flattering, sometimes weird, but it's awesome for me. I'm very similar to Vlad. I shoot travel videos. I have over 250 vlogs on my YouTube channel. I'm doing montages of Monster Energy events. Also, I'm doing my own movies, directing commercials for our local community in Zagreb, our filmmakers from Croatia. It's a small community, but it's growing, and the young people are trying to push out the old guys, and it's a pretty fun era to live. And that's it. Basically, the shooting and the editing are my most liked parts of the filmmaking process, and hopefully I'll be doing that more and more.
Great. Thanks, Luka. Scylla, you want to talk about yourself?
Yes, so hello everybody. My name is Scylla Berg. I'm a 26-year-old actress and screenwriter from Iceland, and Reykjavik is my current base. I studied writing for film and TV at Vancouver Film School, so I lived there for a year. Kind of started this whole adventure, graduated about 3 years ago now, and I moved back home to Iceland because the film industry is much smaller here than in Vancouver, and I've been doing a lot of things since I got home. I've been, writing scripts. I worked as a script editor, script supervisor. I've also been acting. So right now I'm just, trying to make a name for myself in the industry, and just trying to write and collaborate with as many cool filmmakers as I possibly can.
Great. Thanks, Scylla. Steve, I hope your mic is working now.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Go on, Steve.
So I'm Steve Tate. I've been a screenwriter for a number of years. I got my start in film development, and I work with a number of different producers, helping them identify projects and develop them. And during that time, that's when the screenwriter's bug hit me, and I began writing, mainly independently, shopping my stuff around. Probably around 10 years ago, I was on a partnership with another writer where we developed a comic book that did really well. It was basically a gangster sort of noir called Hollywood, about an immigrant from Eastern Europe who escapes a war-torn country, a medical student who eventually lands in East Hollywood, only to be surrounded by fellow immigrants who are struggling, and turns to a life of crime. That comic book series did really well. It was under development with a couple of different production companies. It never eventually, it got kind of quieted down, the project, for a number of different reasons. But I kind of continued writing. My scripts have been in a bunch of different festivals, and I've won a couple of festivals. So you could say I haven't really been able to launch something like in a feature-length kind of status, but I've produced shorts, I've written shorts, and I'm actually producing a feature-length documentary right now. But what I do full-time is mainly advertising. I have my own advertising firm at the moment, and I've worked for a number of different tech companies like Yahoo. So that's kind of how I've made my living, is on the tech and media side. And yeah, I keep writing. And so I'm here to be inspired by fellow artists and creators, and hopefully help some screenwriters be inspired as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Frankly, it's quite humbling to be among such a creative group of people. So let's get started with the discussion. The first question is actually following up to everyone's introduction, is, how did you get into film, and what was the inspiration, and also maybe what was the training or education that you went through, and if that education or training is required, just the journey of how you entered this industry. So we'll not ask every question to everyone, but it would be great if you could, just step into the conversation and, take up. So maybe Scylla, why don't you go ahead and start with how you got into film?
Okay, so acting has always been a dream of mine since I was a kid. So I think that was the trigger, and I watched a lot of TV and films growing up. As a teenager, I watched One Tree Hill and The OC religiously, and that's how kind of my passion for screenwriting started without me realizing it. But, I tried to go the traditional way in life, and I enrolled at the University of Manchester in England, where I studied Spanish and screen studies, where, I got this great education about, all the, French New Wave and everything like that. And I had to write essays and everything about films. And that's where I realized I didn't want to write about the films. I wanted to write them. So I dropped out. I found an introductory course to screenwriting here in Reykjavik by a very well-known screenwriter. And it was like a 4-day course, 4 nights. And I just completely fell in love with it. And after that, I started looking at film schools, found Vancouver Film School, applied, got in, spent an incredible year in Vancouver. And that's essentially how I got my start. And that was like, regarding the educational aspect, it's a fantastic year I had there, and I learned so many things that I probably wouldn't have. But I think that, if you're passionate about becoming a filmmaker, writing or directing, you should not let the fact that you haven't studied stop you, because you can, there's so many resources online, books, everything. And what I always say to people that want to get into writing, they always ask me, like, what should I do? And I always tell them, read as much as you possibly can to become a better writer. And especially screenplays. Like, if you have a favorite film, find the screenplay online and read it. And if you have a favorite genre, find as many scripts as you can to see how they do it, and to see like how a script is set up, the rules and everything. So I think, yeah, that's essentially what I have to say about that.
Thanks a lot, Scylla. That was really inspiring. Luka, why don't you tell us how you got into this industry at such a young age?
Well, I think it all started with me in my high school. I was a kid that was not a part of any group, or didn't basically have a lot of real friends. So most of the time I was spending my time online watching travel videos, watching Devon Supertramp, and watching inspiring filmmakers at the time. That was maybe, I don't know, 7 8 years ago, with the camera movements their camera movements were very fascinating to me, um, because in Croatia the filmmaking community is very small, and our standards uh, are basically lacking behind the industry. So everything that's happening in the world is happening in Croatia, I don't know, in 5 years maybe. So that is what inspired me, and I told myself, I want to do that in Croatia. And I started with a GoPro, moved on to a DSLR, bought a gimbal, bought a drone, bought a better camera, bought basically everything that I need to film, to do the films I want to do, to do films that others maybe want to order from me. And yeah, like Silla said, I've learned everything online. Um, 3 years ago, I started film school, and I'm now third year. And basically, in those 3 years, I've learned nothing that I already haven't learned online. And the reason I joined film school is to network and to meet new people. And that was also a fail, because in our small country, it's very hard to do any kind of collaboration, and the business runs on people who you know, and that's a shame, because young artists and filmmakers aren't able to accomplish their dreams or make films, because they need, I don't know, funding or resources or people or actors or anything. And you have to know the people who know other people to get in the filmmaking world. And that's why I moved to online, I moved to YouTube videos, I moved to basically everything other than in my country, in Croatia. And it's been awesome. I'm working for Monster Energy now. I'm doing all kinds of filming, uh, whether it be for a news company or a production company or someone from I don't know, Japan. I'm doing a lot of online editing, and trying to meet as many inspiring filmmakers around the world, to collaborate, to travel with, and to basically talk, because there aren't as many in my area, for example, in Croatia or Serbia or these eastern countries. So it's been a fun ride. I'm very young and I still have a lot to learn, but I'm thrilled that I'm here, and I'm very happy with what what I what I have accomplished with these 5 years. Sorry for my bad English. I'm trying really hard. I understand everything, but my talking has to be improved. So I'm lacking in that department.
Great. Thanks a lot, Luka.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So great. So this actually shows that, education, while it is definitely, it helps in formalizing your craft, or understanding it better. But now, with everything being available online, it is certainly not a necessity, at least, right? And anyone can, considering that everyone has a camera in their hands today, at least to start with filmmaking, it does not require you to, go through a film school and such, right? I hope everyone agrees to this. What do you think, Robert? With all the young actors that you work with, do
Yeah,
you recommend?
I recommend online video. I recommend just watch videos, buy an online course, or learn directly from people other than film school, because our film school is based on a 20 years ago that was popular then, and it's very hard to do something that's popular today if you are learning something that's 20 years old. So that's a shame here.
Yeah, I was going to say that I went to film school. I spent 2 years at a film school. I also spent 2 years at an acting school. I'm almost tempted to say I learned more from the acting school as it applies to what I do now as a filmmaker and a director and working with actors, because that's a big part of filmmaking, at least when it involves storytelling. But it's definitely a different world now than it is when I started, and I learned a lot online just doing things too. But I, like, after I finished film school, I went and worked in the film industry in Vancouver for about 15 years, and I started just working as a production assistant and eventually became an assistant director, and then eventually was a first assistant director, which is like the right-hand man to a director on a film set. And I worked on just a ton of different professional Hollywood and Canadian projects and just learned, okay, how do the professionals make movies? How does a director block a scene, for example? And, how do you, make shortcuts when you're running out of time? And just learning practically how to make a movie. How do you meet with a costume designer? How do you schedule the movie? These are all the things. As an assistant director, you kind of know everybody's job. And so that's what I had to learn when I was working in the movies. And then when I stopped and I started working with kids and I decided, okay, I'm going to make my own movies, I was able to sort of use all that knowledge and put it to use making basically no budget movies with essentially hardly any crew at all whatsoever, because I was able to, organize and schedule and block. And some of the things I had to learn were just how to use the camera better, which I was able to do online. Editing, I learned how to use Final Cut Pro just while I was editing my movie. If I ran into a problem, I would, go find the tutorial associated with that problem. And then, but it took a long time. I first started my channel back in like 2010, and it never really went viral until 2017. So I was just working with kids, teaching them, making movies. I just kind of kept pumping them out there. And then things just, flatlined for several years, but I was able to sustain myself. I kind of had the, the patience and persistence to keep it going. It was in 2017 when one of my movies went viral and had 10 million views in a week. And then that kind of allowed me to make the whole thing my focus and give up all my day jobs and just be a filmmaker.
Right. So I guess one of the biggest, things that helps is just continuing to do it. And I think this is the story for most YouTube creators as well, that it wasn't, as in maybe that one video got 10 million views, but that was because you were doing it for 7 years. So
I had built up kind of a decent base. I had like 100,000 subscribers at that point. I had a passionate group of fans. It just hadn't clicked yet, with the YouTube algorithm. And then for some reason, when I put this other one out, it clicked.
Right. So how do you think, considering the topic of today's discussion as well, which is create better together, where do you think collaboration sits in the entire picture, and how important is creative collaboration, especially for people who are starting and they do not have, funds or sponsors or production houses backing them already? Why don't, Liene, do you want to throw some light on that? Liene, yeah.
So
the question is,
I know what I heard what the question is, but I want to a little bit talk about what we just talked about the movie schools, you know, film schools.
Yeah, sure. Go.
Because I'm not agreeing that it might be you only have a bad school if you think, you know, that it didn't give you anything. So right now, for example, GIG, Gerasimov Institute in Moscow, which is the first, like the oldest one in almost the whole world. I think, yeah, it's 100 years old. So the thing is, like, when you go and learn film directing, 5 years, you know, it's like a big studying, you know, like this area. So you learn acting, you learn not only film directing, not only, you know, how to market your movies, how to screenplay write, you know, like producing and everything else. So I think it depends from the school and your teachers. So I'm just sad that over there you didn't have luck to get the good ones, you know. So because there is a lot of really good, not only you know, Russian, but many from Poland, good directors who is you know, teaching and going to countries, you know, just to give the lections. So, but what can I say about the film writing? You know, I think it's most important to in beginning write about something you actually know. You know, it's about your experience, because then you can't lie, and you for sure know how to, for example, write movement. You know, like the action, not the what everyone says, you know, in the movie, but what they do, because it's most important thing. You know, like many people are writing about just the words, you know, but word doesn't mean anything for movie. It's how you can say this without the words, you know, what people do in the movie, you know. So what they think, what they I don't know, do, and like all the three different things in one time. So, you know, so when people write screenplays about what they know, it's much more powerful, it's much more real. And for example, especially for young artists or young filmmakers, it's much better, because if you start to like write something about you don't know, you're not actually into it for 100%, you know, like you will lie, or you will just to do how other people's do, you know, but it's not with your experience. That's my thoughts about that one.
Great. Thanks, Liene. I mean, that is definitely a good point as well. I mean, both aspects are really important. As in, this is also considering that education on its own. I mean, now that online courses are coming up, informal education, not just in the creative art forms as well. The both standpoints exist. As in, receiving formal education obviously is the way to go for most of the people. But just that there is more to be gained from experience itself. But yeah, I mean, I am. That's just my standpoint, I guess. Great. So if you could discuss, Vashmere, if you could talk about, you know, collaboration and why and how collaboration is something that you know, that makes sense for a creative professional, or even someone who's starting as a professional in creativity today, and how that could be one of the ways that, you know, someone learns from their collaborators, even when they do not maybe have the budget to, you know, start a movie or as in start a project with a high budget, or maybe to afford to go to a film school, or maybe just do something on the side while they are, like Steve is, working on something completely different. So what are your thoughts about that, Vashmere? And Steve, if you could take up this point as well. Steve, why don't you go ahead? I think Vashmere is having some issues with his audio.
Sure. So on the topic of collaboration, I think finding someone that complements what you do is really key. So for instance, you know, for someone like me, I most of the projects I work and collaborate on, I come from more of a producing and a writing standpoint. So, you know, finding someone that kind of complements that and you know, like some of the people here on the panel that are more on the camera side, more on the technical side, on the editing side, that's always great. And then, you know, just surrounding yourself with some sort of like group of people that are like-minded, I think is really important, especially for a lot of the younger creators. If you look back and you see people who have found a success, one thing I've realized in kind of my studies and my researches is a lot of them were a part of what is commonly described as a scene. So whether it's like in the early 80s in New York and being a part of like the punk scene in the Lower East Side, or whether it's like a group of like political activists who kind of got together in SF in the late 60s. All of those kinds of scenes also apply to the creative arts. I mean, you talk about all these people who are you know, that we all kind of admire. Every one of them was a part of some sort of like movement at that point in time, which their careers started launching. So I think it's really important to surround yourself with people who are either a part of a movement or who have kind of a greater vision in mind, and try to insert yourself into that movement. And the collaboration will just occur and it'll kind of organically occur as to when you add value to the movement. So I would say definitely study, definitely work on your craft day and night, make money however you can. I mean, money's green no matter where it comes from. Obviously do it legally, but do it professionally and work on your craft. And I think when it's your time, you will be asked to collaborate, but only when I think you have a unique kind of point of view and you add value to the project.
Great, thanks, Steve. Vashmere, what are your thoughts about this?
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think that just to kind of touch on everything, first of all, Steve answered that question perfectly, because it was just like the one influencer here today that said that they didn't go to school or they had a terrible experience at school. I mean, that's perfectly fine, because one of the greatest directors of all time, Steven Spielberg, didn't even attend school. So it's not necessarily a thing about even going to film school. It's a thing about learning their craft. And I love what Steve said when he said about the clicks and about the time period. That kid, you're a part of that. So that's something that you're bringing to the table, is that new culture that somebody that might be older, one of us, I'm definitely not telling you my age. I don't know, Steve might. But you're definitely bringing something to us that we might not see. Like, technology is really big today. And as we see that playing more in the film, so it's perfect to see how any filmmaker, whether it's one that went to school or one that didn't, brings everything to the table to help the work better. I tell you guys, from my personal experience, I blame the DSLR camera only to the degree that the one thing that I feel that film has lost throughout the years is the ability for everyone to be their own person. So now you have people that are producers, screenwriters, directors, set directors. I mean, back in the day, when somebody wanted to be a director, they were a director, they were professional at that, and that's all they did. Somebody was a screenwriter. That's all he did. He was a master of that craft. And I think that that's where we lost a little bit, because you can't really collaborate with someone if you feel like you can do their job. So having that ability that we used to from the old school, where people are saying, hey, this is what I do, trust what I do, and someone else saying, hey, this is what I do, trust what I do, is where the collaboration really originates from. And that's what film is. Film is that collaboration. You know, E.T., which is a film I'm sure everyone has seen, wouldn't have been such a great film if it wasn't for the collaboration of everybody that was involved in it. A lot of people don't even realize that E.T. was a horror film. It wasn't even written the way it was. It was a horror film at first, and Steven Spielberg happened to really take part of one particular scene in the film where one of the aliens, and there was 3 of them, became friends with the child of the house that they were actually trying to, terrorize, and literally wrote E.T. based strictly off of that small scene. So again, it's about the collaboration of any type of film that you're making. So you can definitely work with someone that might have some knowledge of film from school, and work with somebody that doesn't have that knowledge but has knowledge of technology or what's going on right now in today where you might not. So yeah, collaboration is needed, and places like this is where it begins.
Right. That's a brilliant insight, Vashmere. So how we see it at Dextra is that, I mean, everyone does specialize in one or maybe 2 forms of art. And I understand that it's better to, find that one thing and pursue that. But as it happens, like everyone on the panel today is one thing and then also another, right? So you yourself are a filmmaker and a screenwriter, and everyone here, I mean, is not just that one craft that they do. Everyone follows something else as well, and that is just how creativity functions. So like on Dextra as well, we allow people to express themselves through several dexes, because we know that a creative person is not just that one creative person. But then definitely in figuring out what that one thing is and just going wholeheartedly after that helps you specialize, and maybe like 10 or 15 years into the industry, you know that that is what you do most of the time. But I would love to hear from Vlad and Isaac, about, being in LA, all of you, you must have seen so much talent across the board, from various forms of art, and also like collaborating even when they're very just entering the industry and so on. What are your thoughts about people, as Vashmere pointed out, people finding that one thing or like exploring several skills at the same time?
Isaac, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Basically, to touch base on collaboration, I wanted to give my point of view. I think collaboration is a big part of growing, but you have to collaborate with certain people, meaning that you can't collaborate with everybody, but you have to be limited on who you collaborate with, because sometimes, like when somebody approaches you and wants to collaborate, they actually might affect your career, and they might affect who you are, based on what they do and what they create. It is very important to kind of just research who you're collaborating and who you're partnering up with. Basically, I do approve of collaboration, because it is a big part of your career and a big part of you kind of developing who you are as well as an artist. As far as like trying to find your kind of like style or your specialty, you need to keep on working on your craft, because if you don't keep on working on your craft and you keep on thinking about working on your craft, then you're not really evolving as an artist. That collaboration comes to play on that one too, because you need to be able to take a risk and say, you know what, I want to collaborate with this guy. What can we come up with together as far as making art? And then with that said, through time, you can find things like, oh, I'm really good at this. Oh, you know what, I need to improve on this, or I really excel on this and stuff like that. For me, I excel in lighting. I am really, really good with lighting, and the way I extract emotions out of my subject. So I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm capable of. So, enable for you to find that, you need to do a lot of collaboration. You need to do a lot of special projects. You need to keep on constantly doing it, enable for you to hone in your craft.
The one thing about Isaac, though, is that in the beginning, he worked on his craft more than anything else, more than thinking about who can I collaborate with, who can I join with. And then after he had what he knew he was good at, that's when he started looking for people that he could connect with that will make his pieces, his masterpieces, better, right?
Yeah.
So like Spielberg and like any other director, they didn't do everything by themselves, right? They had a whole team that specialized in their own thing, and he gave them that respect in order to be able to make something amazing that everyone was proud of. The thing with specialization, though, is that in film schools, I have a master's degree from FAMU in Czech Republic. I did a bachelor's in the University of Miami. One thing that I noticed in those two schools is that they didn't teach you just specialization, even though they said they did. They did teach you everything. They make you well-rounded. They make you know how to do screenwriting and directing and producing and casting director and everything. You have to know everything, because to be a director, right, you have to be knowledgeable in each field enough to be able to have an intelligent conversation with each specialization. So yeah.
And then enable for you to create, you need to actually let go and trust the people that you're working with. Because if you're constantly thinking about, okay, how's the sound, how's the lighting, how's everything else, you're not really focusing on what you're doing and what you need to do. And you need to have trust, you know. As far as like being a creative, you need to let go. I know it's really hard as a creative. We're always in control of what we create, and we're always saying, you know what, let me touch on this, let me touch on that, because I know I can do it better. But honestly, it's better for you to trust other people on their specialty and say, you know what, you got this, and be able to just let go.
Great. Thanks, Isaac and Carolina. Vlad, you've been waiting for a while.
Yeah. So I absolutely agree with all speakers that have been speaking today. And I think that nowadays, everything is about the people who you know and who know you. So it's all about collaborations. First of all, it's new ideas. Like, for example, speaking from YouTube side, like it's inspiration, because not many people doing what you love to do, and they're not passionate about this. And if you can find people who will love, like for example, in this case, videos, that much that you do, you can grow together, and like you'll be much happier. It's from like YouTube side. Collaboration also, for me personally, it's new ideas. So for example, if I want to shoot something, I can find people who has better vision of it. So if I see it from one angle, some people can like find out another angle and make it way better. That's why I think collaboration is very important. Also interesting that collaborating with people in like different countries, different regions, it's awesome, because no matter where you can travel, you can find people who passionate about what you're doing, and they can help you to find like more ideas, creative ideas. They can show you places where to shoot, for example. So that's awesome, I think. I guess that's it.
Great. Thank you, everyone. So I guess we have time for beginning to take audience questions as well. We have a bunch of questions waiting already. So the question is going to appear on your screen in a couple of seconds. Yeah. So the first question is by Terry Paul. I think we touched on it briefly already. How can I find sponsors for my films? So yeah, go on, Robert.
Okay, well, I'll weigh in on that because I just found a sponsor for one of my films. The film that I made that went viral, I made several sequels to it, and And now I'm doing a spin-off, which is like a scripted vlog show featuring the two main characters. And they're both teenage girls, and in it, they're talking about, they're celebrating their 10-year friendiversary and recalling all the, how to be a friend and some of the cool things they did together. So I approached a company that was a toy company that does crafts, and I just went to their website and filled out the email form, and with the subject heading, YouTube brand integration, and threw it out there. And I said, look, this is a popular video, and we're doing a spin-off of it, and this is how we would incorporate a brand such as yours. And eventually I got a reply. They gotta be interested. They were intrigued by the fact that my channel was large enough and whatnot. So but they got back to me, and they're sponsoring this first episode of this Lily and Sierra show, and it's just I'm just incorporating them in there, saying, they're going to bring out some of these crafts, saying these are some of the cool things we did over the years to be friends, and show off their product and keep it on screen, but just integrating it rather naturally without it being too pushy. So that's how how I got one sponsor on board. One of my projects. I have a manager who's gotten me some sponsors as well, but so I don't know how they get them. They got a whole brand department, but you can do the legwork yourself and look for natural integrations that would work well. If you're a travel, videographer, then perhaps there's something along the lines of what you do that might be of interest to a brand and of interest to your viewers as well.
Right. So Robert, that's definitely, as in considering that you already have a massive user base, maybe it's been easier for you to actually convince a sponsor.
Yes.
But but let's say, and not just for sponsors, right? So just if there's any way for maybe a beginner or even a semi-professional to be able to get a project funded, maybe not through a sponsor, maybe finding the right production house and such. Isaac, you want to take that question?
Yeah, I do. As far as sponsors go, what I want to relay is you need to think like a sponsor. Basically. If you're reaching out to a sponsor, you need to think, what do they really need, or what can they really take from me? I get a lot of sponsorships and all that stuff, but enable for you to really partner up with sponsors, you need to see if your craft is there. Okay. Second, if you have a good enough following to benefit them. Third, you need to be able to see if you can do what it is that you can do to create something for the both of you. And it's really tricky because, when you're starting off, you wanna get sponsorships, you wanna get all this, you wanna get all that. Prior to looking to your craft, what you can offer and all that stuff. I think that's the most important thing, is to look at what you can offer to them first before you start reaching out to any sponsor. It has to benefit both parties. It can't just benefit you. When you're starting off, all you're thinking about is, all right, I want new equipment, I want new products, I want all this good stuff. But honestly, you have to think about them, because they're big companies, they're small companies, whatever. They're thinking about how can they benefit from you as a creative to be able to collaborate together as a team.
Yeah, I think when you're starting out, it's pretty unrealistic to think you're going to attract any sponsors at all.
Right. That makes sense. Maybe at that point, finding collaborators who are ready to work with you for no money is would probably help your portfolio before you are able to reach that stage or build enough reach, as Isaac pointed out, and as Robert has already been able to achieve.
I didn't get any sponsor interest until I had about 500,000 subscribers.
Exactly. Right. Great. So I hope, Terry, your question is answered to an extent. We have another question lined up as well. Just a minute. We are a tech platform, but we're not without our tech flaws, I guess.
Okay, meanwhile,
Yes,
maybe...
sorry. So the next question is...
we should do something else. Okay.
Sorry. So the next question is, what film festivals do you attend and why? And what do you recommend for those who are beginning their career? You would notice that, most of these queries are also coming from people who are starting their careers, because the people who are already established are probably not seeking your wisdom. So from their perspective, what, in terms of film festivals, let's say someone makes a short film, which are the film festivals they should go to and maybe could extract some value from? Yeah, Vashmere, go on.
Yeah, I'll jump on this one because I think I have a little history with film festivals. I would definitely suggest you to use probably one of the biggest ones right now, which is Film Freeway. Everybody pretty much uses Film Freeway. That's where I've had the most success with my short film on, was Film Freeway. And as long as it's a great product, I think that you'll have a lot of success with that. But one of the ways that I know, for me personally, or for someone new that's coming up in the industry trying to get funding for a feature film, short film competitions are the easiest way to do it, because it's like it's a way of showing producers that can get their hands on money that you know what you're doing, and that you have access to being able to do it on a smaller scale, which builds trust for them to want to allow you to do it on a larger scale.
Right, great. Thanks, Vashmere.
No problem.
Anyone else wants to share their thoughts as well? Yeah, Liene, go on.
Maybe I will start a little bit about the how to get sponsors, because I think no one told. Actually, you have to have something done before you get to sponsors and propose for something. You have to have some job done before, right? So you have to have a short list. You have to have your actors with photographies, what you wish for, so your imagination when you go to the sponsors, you told already, like the film, the story, like when you're passionate, passionate about your movie, because it will have this and that and this actor in it, so you kind of like imagine what should it be. So you have to just get into this picture, and get excited, this sponsor, and probably, like, many times I've got about 20 movies we've done in first 3 years in my school, but I never published them, because I don't think it's a good way to just put it all out and not knowing if this is the best, you want people to see from you. But so when I needed the money for, just like little roles, little films, I was just so excited about it, so when you start to talk about with the people, you get like a little money from this person, a little bit from that, and you just offer, okay, I will film cup of tea with your logo, or you know, you just think something what you can offer. But about film festivals, there's a lot of film festivals from for student films, and they mostly like free of charge. So you can just you know, like send your movie and just hear what they want to say, you know. And also before the festivals, there is a lot of like how to say, about hangouts where you can show your work, and then you know, people from industry just telling you maybe what you should change, or which is the better way, maybe to just recreate, or not recreate, but done the so my brain stopped working a little bit. Cutting the movie.
I guess that's a jet lag, Liane. But yeah, that was really helpful. I mean, around that point, do you want to address the film festivals point as well, so that we wrap that up?
Yeah, of course. There is like a geek festival, for example. You know, there's if you can search many festivals in Moscow, and they like also, you know, international movies. Maybe you should find someone who write the titles in Russian, you know, but they have pretty good prices, like money price, so you can get some money from your next movie, you know. And for example, there was like one festival for movies shot with the iPhone, you know, and then iPhone gave like 1,000 euros or $1,000 and the newest iPhone, so you can shoot with the iPhone, you know, better. So there's like many kind of, you know, for newers, there's many kind of festivals where you can actually, for like a 30-second movie, which is like, probably it's not even a movie, it's like really short something, you know, like you know, like some action for 30 seconds, which can call like short movie. And it's like for 1 minute movies, it's like for 5 minutes movies, it's like so many of them. You just better to send a bunch of them and see how it's go, you know, and you can get there a little money and start to create already a bigger money, so bigger movie. I needed for my first like the serious movie, I needed 25,000, you know, and I had like 30 people crew. Everyone needed, you know, food, and everyone wanted to get, you know, around and pick it up. And so, you know, it was a lot of money for the student, but, you know, it was just, I was just really into it. So I was talking about, I don't know, probably 50 people till I got, you know, the money I needed. And it was like, it took about 3 months. So it's not easy, you know, but yeah, I wasn't lucky enough to get a producer who made this happen, but in the end, I made it by myself. So you can just wait when someone else will do it, because in the end you can be like just me, you know, like about a month before the shooting you don't have money. So right. And you're like burning, you know, like, oh my god, who I know who has a lot of money, you know, right. Who I can ask. So
thanks, Liane. I guess we can move on to the next question. This is by Nomadic Jam. How do you maintain originality with either filmmaking or screenwriting? And how do you get inspired? You get inspired from many other movie scripts, but then you tend to do it the same way that's already been done. I guess I'll let the screenwriters answer this. Scylla and Steve, you want to address this? How you maintain originality in your scripts and screenplays, and how do you avoid, you know, copying others, even if inadvertently?
Yeah, like I said, the biggest thing for me just to find inspiration is reading. I read at least one book a week, and I think, I don't know, I've after you're going to film school and collaborating with people, I'm always seeing more and more that the important thing is knowing why you're doing this and knowing what you want to say, you know? And that's what I'm continually asking myself. What is it that I want to say? Because I think that when you know that, that is the key to everything. And about, you know, originality, I mean, essentially there are only like 4 stories. They're being retold endlessly. So in that regards, there isn't much originality left. It's just like, you have not told this story before. And I think that is what matters most is, yeah, somebody, and that's why we still have adaptations. It's been done before, but you're doing it this time. So I think that is the biggest key, is just to continue to explore yourself and your experiences and see what resonates with you, what, you know, inspires you. And what I found more than anything is that people respond to honesty. So if you can be honest in your writing, that's always something that's gonna resonate and hopefully leave something behind for others. So yeah, I would say that's my biggest thing. And you just have to continue doing it, continue writing, and allow yourself to be really crappy to begin with. Write that first draft, even if it's horrible. It's kind of supposed to be bad because, you know, you edit it and you build from that. I always call the first draft, the first thing you write, I call it the vomit draft, because you're kind of just like vomiting the story on the page, because you need somewhere to begin to get to where you want to be. So yeah, and just, you can find inspiration everywhere if you just look hard enough, you know, photographs, films, books, magazines, even just taking a walk and just observe people. I think that's the biggest thing as a screenwriter, is that, you know, you need to have life experiences so you can, you know, portray them. So just continue to explore yourself and the world around you.
Thanks, Silla. That is really creative way of looking at originality. Stephen, what are your thoughts about how do you find originality in your own work?
Well, I definitely agree with everything Silla said. I think she touched upon a lot of things that are definitely true, and I've experienced myself. I think one thing she kind of touched upon was staying true to yourself. I think it'll be impossible to mimic or to sort of like draft off of what someone who's more established is doing if you really stay true to your own unique voice. So, you know, there's literally no way you could sort of like imitate anyone if you kind of come with it from your own point of view. And so, you know, when you're first starting out, there is no way to do things other than, you know, obviously, like Silla said, just absorbing every art form around you, not just great movie scripts or not just great movies that have been produced and executed. You know, go to a museum, go to different art forms. Music is huge. I think for me as a writer, music is probably one of the things that kind of helps me create. It's sort of an engine, if you will, and it's also acts as fuel. And so I think obviously you are gonna feel like you're coming off like whatever project you create, it's going to feel like, okay, this is like a little bit like Paul Thomas Anderson, or it has hints of Charlie Kaufman, or whoever you're trying to kind of be inspired by. But there will be something unique to it as long as you come to it from your own experiences. And I would recommend you create your own experiences, you know, especially as a filmmaker and a writer. Travel, go to different parts of the world, immerse yourself in different cultures, and bring those to your community, and you'll have something unique to say. at least to that community that you're speaking to.
Thanks a lot, Steve. We have time for just the one last question. Excuse me. So how do you make a film on a small budget? And if you could share some tips and tricks on making a film inexpensively. Vlad, you want to share some thoughts about that? Have you been, I mean, I'm sure everyone here has an experience of making films on a small budget to start with.
Actually, I didn't have any experience of shooting like even small films. Basically, I did some commercials and travel videos. So like I can speak a lot about the small budget films.
Okay. Yeah,
maybe,
go on, Robert.
Maybe I could touch upon that.
Yeah, Luka, go on.
Well, recently I did a small film on a small budget, and it was a experience, the exactly experience I thought it would be. It's very difficult to explain just the process of how to make a film on a small budget. You have to think like you don't have any budget, and that will create ideas that could lead on doing something for free that if you had a big budget you would have to pay. So it's really about cutting corners and saving money where you can, especially I don't know, actors or food or anything that can be broken down into smaller parts and cost less money. For example, if you need to hire an actor, or maybe you can ask some of your friends that maybe have experience with that and pay them less than you would pay a professional actor. That's coming from a small country where people have a mindset of doing everything cheaper and everything basically for free. If you can do it for free, then you're the god. You save money and you make more money. And that would be my advice, to find things that are needed for your movie, but find them for free. Find them somewhere where maybe you can get a favor from someone, or make something else for that person without paying them money or cash. That would be my experience, because my movie was made like on a really small budget, and basically I had my friend play one actor, the other friend was the other actor. The locations were we found locations when we got to them. Basically we were filming in a coffee shop and in the streets, and everything felt in the movie, everything didn't felt cheap, but we did it for a small amount of money. So that would be my experience with that, with working on a small budget.
I would like to add also that I'm sorry.
Yeah, Robert.
I'm sorry, Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add that with friends, like you can shoot as I said, I didn't have experience shooting a movie or like a small film, but I had experience shooting different like music videos and stuff, like commercial videos. So where I found people, you can use your friends, or there are a bunch of websites like Model Mannheim. I don't know how about other countries, but I know that in the US, especially in LA, there are like a bunch of websites where you can find models and actors for free. Basically, people who wants to like join your group and show up, like show his work, his actions or her actions. And also, if you don't have those kind of websites, you can go on Facebook pages. So basically just make a post like, hey guys, I'm looking for people who would like to be featured in the short film or in a music video or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will reply to you. Because that's how I got people.
I think that like important thing to remember is that if you're making a movie for YouTube, for example, it doesn't have to be perfect. one of my first films I made about 9 years ago when I was just starting out, and I was teaching acting to kids, but I had this background of working in the movie industry. I had very little technical knowledge of how to use the camera, but I had a camera. It was it was basically a semi-pro camcorder. It had an onboard microphone. I had a tripod. I was teaching the class with 9 kids in a school. So I had a location. I wrote a script that connected with them. It connected with an audience, and we made it. You can watch it. It's still on my YouTube channel. It's called 13, and it has like 43 million views now. And it was literally made with a camcorder, a tripod, and nothing. And there was no budget. The kids actually paid to be part of the class, and the only expense I had was renting the school, which was $20 an hour. And I had no lighting. I had no boom operator. There was 0 crew whatsoever. And the kids were in charge of their own costumes. And that was it. It's 43 million view movie on YouTube with like a negative budget.
Great.
It just
Really?
it was just about a story, you know. It just had kids related to it. It had an engaging story and some good performances, and I was able to shoot it like a real movie, even though I didn't have all the lights to do it that way, and edit it. That was the project I really learned to edit with, and so I was able to edit like a movie. It just, so the production value in it is really, really low, but it worked on YouTube.
Right, that's actually the thing with YouTube. And if you look at the top channels, I mean, everyone knows about what is happening with PewDiePie and T-Series. And I mean, what the world and especially the younger generation is looking at is not high quality production material, but things which they can connect to, I guess, or just a storyline or a movement, as Vashmere pointed out, and Stephen pointed out, that, you know, it's more about connecting, being able to make that connect with the audience than, you know, being able to do it with a high budget. So I think, I mean, hopefully platforms like Dextra would be able to provide such a forum to everyone creative on this planet to be able to, you know, create even inexpensively, as long as that idea is being communicated in a very, you know, expressive manner. So great. On that note, I would like to, you know, thank everyone for participating in today's discussion. Hope this helped everyone attending the live session today, understanding, you know, what it takes to grow in this industry and also how to create better. And that's about it. Do like and share the video, spread the word. We're going to do several such events as well. So subscribe to our channel. And you can follow us as well as everyone else who's on the panel today on Instagram. You can find them on Dextra. You can send them collaboration requests. Everyone, the links are on the description below. We are an app on iOS and Android, and hope to see you for the rest of the Collaboration Fest as well. It's all happening online on the app. Wherever you are in the world, you have access to it. So great. Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Going.